Live, local, late breaking. This is Heartland News Now.
Prayers, lots of prayers for them.
Prayers for a Heartland family after the search for a missing toddler ends in tragedy. We'll have the latest on what happened in Iron County. But first, more winter weather is here. Snowflakes are falling across the Heartland, and while all this snowfall does look kind of pretty, it could create a slippery commute tonight. So let's toss things over to Laura Wibbenmeyer, who's been tracking this winter storm.
Yeah, it's already causing a few slick spots across the area right now, and we are tracking a few heavier bands as well. You can see that's pretty much over with for our far western counties. It's now mainly in southern Illinois and Kentucky, a few of our far eastern counties in Missouri still picking up on that snowfall. But where we find the heavier bands, you can kind of make them out here in that bright white, stretching from just west of Sparta back to just west of Carbondale into the Cobden area. That's slipping off to the south and east. Also another heavier band from, say, Mount Vernon to McLeansboro back towards the Shawneetown area. Of course, there's still some light snowfall in between that band along I-57, along I-64. Could have some slick spots as well. As we move into Kentucky, we find much more of the same, meaning much more snowfall. That moderate band of snowfall from southern Illinois stretches into our eastern counties in Kentucky through Marion, back towards the Princeton area, and then really that swath of snowfall codes all the way over into the Mississippi River, I should say, and then again that other heavier band stretching into our far western counties in Kentucky from the La Center area back towards Fancy Farm. This will move out of the area pretty quickly this evening, but it will cause some slick spots not only right now, but especially as the sun sets. So definitely take it slow. We'll talk much more about accumulation and what we can expect in our next round of winter weather, all coming up.
A handful of schools either let out early this afternoon or canceled the evening classes because of the snow. As of right now, no closings to report yet for tomorrow, but make sure you stick with us here on Heartland News as we continue to update that list. Happening now, a Heartland community is grieving after a tragic discovery. Just hours after a 3-year-old was reported missing in Iron County, search crews found his body not far from his home. Darion Henderson has been working the story. He joins us now live. Darion.
Well, Molly, it was a sigh of relief when search crews found 3-year-old Titus Grayson Tactic, but at the same time saddened that he was found dead. Now, here's a timeline of what happened. Now, around 12 o'clock last night, police say they received a call that the little boy was missing. Search crews searched through the night on foot and in the air, trying to find any clues leading to where Titus might have disappeared. Now, around 11:30, Trooper Clark Parrott announced that crews found Titus. During the noon press conference, Trooper Parrott announced that Titus was found dead about a half a mile from his home in a van. Now, I spoke with Tom Ritchie, one of the guys who found Titus. He says his world stopped when he saw the little boy.
I freaked out. It was like just like my heart sunk, you know, for a little guy. But he was a long ways from home. He was probably a good mile from home where he was at, and he was up in a van. And all of a sudden, the guy that told me to go down there and look, he comes rolling up there, and it ended up being his house. So
now, police are still investigating this incident and didn't specify if they believe there was any foul play. Trooper Clark Parrott says they plan to teach more. They plan to learn more about exactly how this boy died when the autopsy comes back. Now, coming up on Heartland News at 5 and 6, Katie Brousseau continues this team coverage, and she'll give you the reaction from the community. Live, local, late breaking. Darion Henderson, Heartland News.
New at 4, a Ballard County mother is facing child abuse charges following a 3-week investigation. We've learned that Kentucky State Police first received a report of possible child abuse, which led them to this woman, 40-year-old Kimberly Kershaw of Paducah. They've since arrested her, and as you can see, she's facing several charges, including 2 counts of unlawful imprisonment and child abuse. Kershaw is in the Ballard County Jail. A man is in critical condition and an investigation is underway after a shooting in Sykeston. We're told the shooting happened just after 10:30 this morning in the 700 block of Montgomery Street. We're told the victim may have been shot up to 5 times. Police say they do have one person in custody. The Butler County Sheriff's Office has 2 people in custody following a 2-month heroin investigation. We're told that the office's narcotics task force led them to these 2, Logan Johnson and Cassie Stevens. They were arrested after agents served a search warrant in the city of Hamilton. During the search, agents found a small amount of heroin, 200 prescription pills, drug paraphernalia, digital scales, and about $3,000 in cash.
We've always gone through periods when our democracy seems stuck. And when that happens, we have to find a new way of doing business. We're in one of those moments. We've got to build a better politics.
Working together. It may not be the first thing you'd probably think of when the Illinois legislature comes to mind. They've now been more than 7 months without a budget, but we need to work together, was the message President Obama wanted to hammer home this afternoon as he spoke at the Illinois Capitol. And that's where we find Giacomo Luca. He joins us live now with reaction from Springfield. Giacomo.
Well, Molly, we've been here at the state capitol all day long paying very close attention to President Barack Obama's speech. He began that speech just around 1 o'clock. Just moments ago, we spoke with state legislators that represent Southern Illinois. Here's what they had to say about it.
A lot of the things we expected. I think he came here wanting to say people needed to work together. Obviously, that's not happening here, but it's also not happening in Washington, D.C.
I think he hit home. It's time for the people to quit playing games. Let's get together. Let's don't get on the right. Let's don't get on the left. Let's come to the center. Let's get things done.
Now, legislators from both sides that we spoke with that represent Southern Illinois say that they believe bipartisanship is absolutely something that they all need to strive for. Now, we will have continuing coverage from the state capitol on the president's speech, and you'll hear from more local lawmakers later on Heartland News. Molly?
Thank you, Giacomo. Another 2 Republicans bite the dust. Carly Fiorina has announced she's suspending her presidential campaign. Meanwhile, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is expected to drop out of the race after finishing 6th in the New Hampshire primary. But the other candidates still going for the gold are looking forward. Bernie Sanders is working to keep up the momentum from his win over Hillary in New Hampshire as most of the candidates move on to the next primary in South Carolina. And if you want to vote in your local presidential primary, you need to make sure you're registered to vote. In Missouri, you need to have all your information in by February 17th. That's 1 week from today. In Illinois, you've got a little bit more time. All your voter registration information needs to be sent by March 8th. In Kentucky, your deadline is April 18th. And bad news for those in Tennessee, the deadline to vote in the presidential primary election has already passed. But the good news is there's still time for you to register to vote for our next president in November.
Roads are getting slick quickly, especially those side roads, with these moderate bands of snowfall continuing to spread off to the south and east, now primarily in southern Illinois and Kentucky, and all of this will continue to move south and east. So by the time we get into the later evening hours, it will wrap up, but especially for, say, the next 2 or 3 hours as this snow falls east of the Mississippi River, it will still cause quite a few headaches on those roads. Temperatures, of course, well below freezing across most of the area, which is why that snowfall is sticking so quickly. And after we lose the sunshine, we expect it to stick even a little quicker. Right now, 19 in Mount Vernon, 21 in Carbondale. Yes, it's going to be another cold night, and we've got several more cold days to talk about. All of that coming up.
As we head to break, you're taking another live look out on the streets of Cape Girardeau. You can see lots of traffic there. This is courtesy of our first alert storm tracker. Still, you can see snow on the roads. Things are moving slowly, so please be careful on the roads out there.
You're watching Heartland News Now.
Volkswagen drivers, the automaker is now recalling 680,000 vehicles because the airbags could be defective. The recall affects VW vehicles from model years 2006 to 2014. We're told if you own one of the affected vehicles, you will be notified. Gas prices around the country are pretty low, but not quite like this. Just take a look at these numbers behind me. We're seeing $1.19 a gallon in some places. No, unfortunately, this isn't in the Heartland. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But wouldn't it be nice to have prices drop that low here? Gas prices are expected to go up over the next few months as refineries undergo some maintenance. To check out the lowest prices in our area, head over to KFVS12.com/gas prices. Millennials are getting ready to speak big when it comes to Valentine's Day. NerdWallet's new survey found that millennial men are planning to spend $371 on everything from gifts to meals. And more than half of Americans think men should pay the entire bill on a Valentine's Day date. Should you let your pet sleep in bed with you? A recent Mayo Clinic study is now challenging the conventional wisdom that animals in the bedroom can mess with your sleep. We've all heard that pets in your bed can be disruptive to your sleep, but a recent Mayo Clinic survey found that 41% of people who share their bed with their animals actually find it beneficial.
If having a pet nearby helps them feel relaxed and gives them a sense of security, which permits them to fall asleep with less difficulty, then I think that's something that does deserve attention.
20% of people in this survey, though, admitted that their pets interrupted their sleep. Researchers say there are many things you need to consider, like how well you sleep, how well your pet sleeps, and also take into account the size of your pet. Then there's the size of your bed and the number of pets.
Well, we are watching slick roads right now across the Heartland, and some of them will just become a little slicker, especially after sunset. We'll give you an update of what's going on right now and what you can expect for the rest of your evening coming up right after this.
Now, First Alert Weather with Laura Wibbenmeyer.
Well, you can get a good idea of where those two heavier bands are that I just showed you on First Alert Doppler Network. Do you see where it kind of turns a purplish blue color here? This first band right here, just moving across the Mississippi River right now. I was just driving in that band in Cape Girardeau about 20 to 30 minutes ago, and it does drop visibilities a little bit, and let me tell you, roads become slick very quickly, even though this isn't a huge amount of snowfall. Another band now moving through our eastern counties from Mount Vernon back towards the Shawneetown area, stretching into Kentucky near Princeton. That also producing some pretty big snowflakes. It's also dropping visibility. So especially southern Illinois, Kentucky, your roads just going to get a little worse before that snowfall moves out of here. And then we have the cold temperatures to deal with. So roads could remain slick not only through this snow event, but even into early tomorrow morning as well. Now I am going to walk you through Futurecast, but it dries us out very quickly. Watch this as we move towards midnight. There will be a bit more snow through the evening hours, especially for southern Illinois and Kentucky, and we could still even have a few lingering showers through the late overnight hours. But as we move on, these snow showers will move out of here. We'll stick with some cloud coverage through the day tomorrow, some on and off sunshine, a little cloud coverage, but at least expecting a dry day for your entire Thursday and right into your Thursday evening hours as well. So temperatures right now, chilly, teens still in Mount Vernon, 21 in Carbondale. We are so cold, and that's why this little bit of snowfall is kind of freezing on contact. It's immediately sticking to the roads because we are so cold. Now, we're a little bit milder the farther south and west you are, but that's the area that didn't really receive a whole bunch of precipitation either. Wind chills, they are there, not as strong as they were last night, and that's kind of good news and bad news. It's not making it feel as cold right now, but the issue will be as we head through the overnight hours, that snow, of course, melting on some roadways, so black ice will be a big deal as temperatures fall into the teens tonight, because last night we had stronger winds, and all through the day yesterday we had stronger winds, so a lot of that moisture was able to evaporate off the roadways. I'm nervous about that not happening tonight, which would mean more black ice by tomorrow morning. Highs tomorrow climbing close to that freezing mark for most of us, and then we have more cold air to talk about in the 7-day forecast. We'll get to that coming up after the break.
Just in time for Valentine's Day, a special love story. A 93-year-old World War II veteran from Virginia finally reunited with his wartime girlfriend in Australia yesterday. After dating and then losing touch, the internet helped bring the two together after they spent decades apart. If love is truly patient, the 93-year-old Norwood Thomas and 88-year-old Joyce Morris could be the definition of true love.
Yeah, definitely. Norwood and Joyce embraced each other for the first time in more than 70 years Tuesday. The two first met in London shortly before D-Day. When the war ended, he returned to the U.S., she moved to Australia. The flame never died, though. The two reconnected over Skype late last year after one of Joyce's sons found Norwood in an online article about D-Day.
You know, to find somebody who loves you and you love them in the latter years of your life, it would rather be special, wouldn't it?
Joyce is now divorced and Norwood is a widower. Norwood and his son will be in Australia for 2 weeks. No word if they have plans beyond that.
They better meet up, though, right? Well, Atticus Edmonds clearly loves action, so imagine the thrill when Dad does this. Yeah, you're watching it right there. It's a special father-son moment at a Sacramento skate park.
Dad pushing his 8-year-old boy's wheelchair up and down the ramps, Mom rolling from start to finish. The sweet video has been viewed millions of times, and it's not just inspiring. It's bringing awareness to why Atticus can't walk alone. He has cerebral palsy, CP.
It's so exciting to me because as his mom, as his advocate, my goal is to make room in the world for him and to get people to see him as a kid first and the chair second.
Well, with his latest clip taking off, Mom hopes Atticus gets more people to talk about CP.
A shoplifter caught red-handed, but it's why she was stealing that touched the hearts of 2 police officers. Officer Mike Bamer and Sergeant Mike Murphy have nearly 40 years on the force between them. Last Monday, the two were called to a mall to catch a shoplifter.
When they finally tracked down the suspect, they realized this crime was no ordinary crime. The woman dropped her bags and broke down in tears. The mother explained she'd stolen some children's gloves and hats to keep her 6-year-old daughter and 4-year-old son warm while they were stranded out in the cold for the day. So the officers returned their stolen items and bought the kids warm gloves and hats.
She came over and gave me a really heartfelt hug, and you know, you're not supposed to hug the police, but it was great. It made me feel good.
Police say the mother won't face any shoplifting charges. They just hope her and her kids are okay, and they say it's a night on patrol they will never forget.
Well, your kids will once again need the coats and the gloves and the scarves tomorrow morning as we fall back into the teens. And as you head off on the roadways tonight or into the morning hours tomorrow, we are watching out for some black ice. There will be issues with that late tonight and again early tomorrow morning. The reason for that is because our winds are not as strong as they were yesterday. So I know we had that bit of snowfall yesterday. The winds were able to kind of get that moisture out of the ground. That's not going to be the scenario tomorrow morning. So keep that in mind, that black ice will be with you. Of course, we're still watching the snowfall right now. Here we go, taking a closer look at that black ice impact. It could be possible on those highways early tomorrow morning when they haven't been traveled a whole lot through the overnight hours. City roads, that will be an issue. Our roads are very wet here in Cape Girardeau. They're wet in southern Illinois and Kentucky too, as that snow's falling right now. And then absolutely something we will need to watch closely on the side roads. And also, don't forget about your sidewalks late tonight and early tomorrow morning too. After that round of snowfall moves through, we are watching another heavier round of winter precipitation that will move in here Sunday evening into Monday. I want to give you that first alert that this one is looking heavier than what we're dealing with right now. We'll have more Heartland news now coming up after this.
Happening now, Cape Girardeau police tell us there are numerous crashes throughout the area. You're taking a look at the MoDOT travel advisory map. The roads in purple on this map are covered in snow. The other roads are going to cover pretty quickly. You can see a live look from the storm tracker right there in the box on your screen. Just be careful if you have to be out there driving.
Yeah, notice in the storm tracker shot too, those roads aren't covered with snow, but very wet Tonight, as our temperatures drop off into the teens, all of that has the potential for freezing, especially on those less traveled roads. So even as this snow pushes out of here tonight, that's going to be something that needs to stay in the front of your mind if you're traveling on the roads tonight or early tomorrow morning, or even if you're not traveling. We forget about it when we step outside to get the mail or take the dogs out, that your patios, your decks also will be slick, even though the snow may look like it's gone. It's not. It's still there. It just melted and refroze.
All right. Thanks, Whips. And thanks for joining us here in Heartland News Now.